Welcome, everybody, to Coffee with the Superintendent. This is the last one we're doing. How are you doing today, Mr. Peterson?
I am doing great, Viviana. Happy to be here, ready to go. Great view today on the way to work. That sunrise coming up over the southern Sierras.
Okay, now it's football season right now, and I gotta ask you
Okay,
something.
how about those Raiders last night? Huh? Most dominating NFL game of the year.
Yes.
And we won't talk about the week before.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just going to be happy. Going to be happy this morning.
Okay, but I do have to ask. You're a pretty smart person, Mr. Peterson. Why do you root for the Raiders? Why do you like them?
Wow. You're going right there.
Tough questions this morning. Tough questions.
Okay. Well, it's since childhood. I grew up. My dad would take me to the Raider games. I would be in the parking lot back in the day. They would pull up in the team parking lot, and you could stand right there as a parent and a kid and get their autograph. John Madden, Kenny Stablers, Fred Biletnikoff, Otis Sistrunk. How about those names out of the past, football fans? Yeah, and it just never left me. So doesn't matter where they play, LA, Las Vegas, back to Oakland, New York. I will always be a Raider fan.
That sounds like an amazing experience you had growing up as a kid. Now, speaking of traditions, one of the questions that was submitted by a student was they want to know any family traditions you do at Christmas.
Generally on the 24th, we do some skeet shooting,
Okay.
which is, shotguns and clay pigeons with family and friends. And then that night, we usually have dinner at home. It's just our nuclear family in the evening. And then we go out to a movie.
So what movie will you guys be seeing this Christmas?
Well, if I get to choose, we'll be going to Napoleon. But
okay,
yeah, my opinions about that much when it comes to that.
You're
So I doubt we will be seeing Napoleon.
Okay. Now, my second question is, what's your favorite Christmas movie?
My favorite Christmas movie, well, I would have to say Home Alone is
Okay.
pretty standard up there. I like all of them. I love the Chevy Chase. What is it? Christmas? Is it Vacation? Is that right? No.
No, it's isn't it the road trip? Is it the road trip one?
Yeah, there's a series.
Yeah,
anyway,
there is.
I
know what you're talking
about.
Yeah,
those are really good.
Okay. And
Never get old.
Merced High School had a cookie competition between their staff, and there were sugar cookies, chocolate chip. There was cookie sink cookies. So, what's your favorite type of Christmas cookie that you enjoy during this time?
Well, I'd have to say sugar cookies. My wife makes amazing sugar cookies.
Nice.
Okay. You?
I love a standard chocolate chip cookie.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little colorful, a little red and green in there, maybe.
Maybe some pretzels, can throw in there. Make it like a kitchen sink,
Kitchen sink.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that too.
Okay. So we're going to start off with questions that were submitted based on student services that the district offers and relevant questions to that. So the first question was submitted by a parent, and they say, "My child hates school. He's begging to drop out. He's struggling in his classes, especially math, and doesn't feel a connection with his teachers. He's an athlete, so it's not a lack of involvement. What resources does a school have to help support him and me? I don't know how to guide him other than to lead a sympathetic ear. His counselor hasn't responded to my email asking for guidance. Help."
Okay. First, you are not alone. This is an issue I think a lot of parents and students face. Number one, I think you need to talk about it. You need to talk about it at home. It sounds like this individual has talked about it. Lend that sympathetic ear. Listen to their concerns, and then those concerns need to be relayed to the counselor. If the counselor does not respond, reach out to the AP that's in charge of
Guidance.
counseling, which would be the guidance AP.
Yeah.
And you can always on these issues email me directly if you're frustrated, and I will immediately get you to the right person. But we have many resources. I think it's important that students talk through these issues with their counselor.
Yeah.
Their counselor and the site guidance AP can point them to the various resources on campus, which may be tutoring, Saturday school. We have all sorts of resources like that. And they may even need to be given a academic support class.
Yeah.
And where they can really work on those grades and get them up. I'm glad to hear the student is involved. But again, I think sometimes students struggle with the relevance of some of the classes that we are required.
Yeah.
We are required to offer, and it can be difficult to manage as a parent and a student. I think again, the number one thing is to talk about it, and really be honest with site admin, and they will point you in the right direction.
Yeah. And I think also too, depending on the student's pathway, I think also trying to build that relationship with their CTE teachers, because they're doing a lot of the career guidance, kind of like if you're interested in this career, and helping you connect you to a community member, and like going on field trips to colleges, or even building relationships with other classmates that have a similar interest as you. And I think just I know for me, I was a really shy student, and I didn't want to ask sometimes questions to teachers, but sometimes even asking teachers like, hey, I'm interested in this, like, tell me, what college did you go to? Even having those small talk conversations, not going to happen overnight either, but as a student too, sometimes you have to go up to teachers and be, how is your day going? Can you tell me, how was your college experience? Why did you choose teaching? And sometimes that's how you can start those conversations, and maybe that will help a little bit.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And I think sometimes when this happens, the parent can be embarrassed.
Yeah.
To go and talk to school personnel, like, I shouldn't be having this
Yeah.
problem. They shouldn't feel like that at all.
No.
Lots of parents have this issue. Lots of students have this issue. And we are not opposed to, and in fact, we encourage our counselors and administrators to make school fun and interesting for students that are in this situation. Meaning, if you have to take them out of a core class to get them off on the right foot and put them in a CTE pathway that they really enjoy, we're okay with that. We will come back to the required classes after they, mature another year or two, and we'll take care of that prior to graduation. So
yeah,
there is hope. There is hope, and you will overcome these obstacles. We just have to work through it together. And again, contact me anytime if you're stuck.
And then the following question is, I would like to know why there isn't adaptive PE for kids with special needs and or due to injury. Currently, they cannot participate. Also, I would like to know about Mathia, and if it's to support students, and why is it a big part of their grade? Is it not to just be an added support system to help with math, but not to replace actual work within the class? How successful is this program? For what I have heard from other students, it is more stressful than the math class itself.
Okay, these are, I apologize, but I will have to read the answer to these and a couple more questions,
Okay.
just because they are a little more technical. On the adaptive PE, that is available to students who have it identified on their IEP, individual education plan. It requires the teacher to have an added authorization to their credential, an APE specialist, and can be added as a service to the IEP. If a general ed student needs accommodations in PE, that can be done through the SST process, and they have to communicate those issues and needs to their counselor, and they can start that process. On the Mathia side, Mathia is a formative assessment tool that is intended to help teachers better understand their students' math knowledge and skills. The teacher should always be able to support the student with questions they have around Mathia. The district doesn't have a set policy for how Mathia is weighted in a student's grade. That is something you should discuss with your student's teacher. When used as intended, Mathia provides the teacher and student with valuable information about where they are in their learning with their math skills, and it helps them fill in those gaps and helps inform teachers where those gaps are with individual students.
Okay. And then the following question we had was, how would I get on independent studies? I'm a senior.
Okay, well, you would talk to your counselor and explain why. I will say that independent studies is generally for students that are older that might have work issues or medical issues. But your counselor can fill out a packet with that request and send it over to the principal of independent studies, and they will review it and make a decision.
Okay.
But that, again, that's the process. You start with your counselor.
Yes, and the parent or guardian has to be involved in the process as well.
Absolutely.
And then we're gonna move on to a different topic now. We're going to talk about school culture and climate.
Okay.
The question that was submitted was, what are you going to do about cultural inclusion in school?
Well, I think we have very inclusive school sites. We have a number of clubs, too many to mention here, for students to get involved in. We celebrate all students' backgrounds with various celebrations. And if we're missing something there, you are welcome to reach out to me again and let me know if you think we can do something better. But you're out and about at school sites all the time. What do you see with regard to that issue?
I think there's different cultural clubs on campus. And I think, again, if this student doesn't see that there's something that we have or need for a student population, I think you have to use your voice and be proactive and, start the process, talk to your activities director. I know for sure that, like, for example, at El Capitan High School, when they had Dia de los Muertos, that was something that students advocated for. They were like, hey, we want to do the celebration. We want to do a performance. They worked with their Spanish teacher and they created that experience for other students to talk about their culture. And it's really beautiful when students get up and it's not coming from a teacher, but from a student, and they want to share about their family. They want to share what traditions they do. And I think you just have to be willing to have those conversations and get out of your comfort zone. And again, the activities director at LCAP was more than happy to have those students do that performance, talk about what that day was about. And I think each campus is different student populations. And I also wish that more students would get involved. Sometimes I come to these events and I'm like, oh, this is such a great event. Where are more students coming to this event? But I think it's like following those students, clubs and organizations' Instagram accounts. Most of them have accounts and they're putting, hey, we're having a meeting in this room number, come and join us. You don't have to be a continuous, coming to every lunch meeting, but I think the more you get involved and attend those meetings, the more you're informed of what's going on your campus.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. We have had more clubs developed by students in the last few years, and sometimes they're out of the mainstream, and that's okay. But I think that's a great way for students to use their voice. Every site has an activities director.
Yeah.
So that's the person to begin the conversation with. And then also you have your administrative team that always can point you in the right direction with further questions around that. But yeah.
Yeah. And then the follow-up question was, how do you feel about the school environment?
I feel really good. This is my beginning my 9th year as the superintendent of this district. I cannot remember a stronger first semester
Mm-hmm.
in my tenure. Um, let's face it, we all struggled bouncing back from the pandemic, getting back to student involvement levels. Engagement in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Student attendance struggled a bit last year. We were at 92.5% overall last year, and
Mm-hmm.
we are up about 2 points this year, a little bit above 94%. And our standard over the years is 95. So we're getting very close to historical averages with attendance, which was a big problem coming off the pandemic. And I think our student involvement is stronger than ever. I don't have the numbers, the percentages off the top of my head, but I know that's all trending upward.
That's great to hear. And then,
Oh, and before we leave
yes.
that, our expulsions and suspensions are down probably pretty close to 50%,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not quite 50% across the district.
Mm-hmm.
And so that doesn't mean we don't have discipline issues, and it doesn't mean that discipline issues aren't being handled.
Mm-hmm.
But we're trying to do it in a way that keeps kids um, on the school site and to continue their learning and to keep them engaged,
Mm-hmm.
because that points to some of the previous questions.
Mm-hmm.
So I think our staff is really, really committed to this area, to student involvement, to keeping kids on campus, and with suspensions and expulsions, and couldn't be more proud.
Awesome. We're going to move on to the next topic, which is grades. And the question that was submitted says, what's been implemented to help students with falling grades improve? The numbers don't lie, and our district is failing the students and community.
Okay, well, I would take issue with the last part of that question, but the various resources we have. I think the number one thing we have done in the past year is add a counselor to every school site, which brings down the caseload across the board for all counselors, so they can keep a closer eye on all of the students and their progress. Obviously, we have a Saturday school, which is available most Saturdays. We have after school tutorials. If students are really struggling and they need support within the school day, we can pull them out of a class and put them in academic support. Don't be afraid to do that. That is okay. Like we talked about in the previous answer, we need to work through why a parent and a student feels this way, and try to do what is best for the student. I can tell you from a grade point of view, we're usually, or last year we were around 10%. At the quarter on Fs, we're down about a little less than 1 percentage point, so almost 10% at the first quarter. That's not how it will end up at the semester. Teachers always grade a little more stricter in the first quarter for students that need a little extra motivation. So I don't expect grades to come out at that number at the semester, but we're back to historical levels on grades, or right within that range. So yeah, I don't. And as far as failing students, my comment to that would be, we were at 92% graduation rate last year. We're going to get very close to 95 this year, and I think that that points to the effort and dedication of our staff.
Yeah.
And we measure our success for a high school district on outcomes. Are we preparing students for their future? Their future. Students are not widgets.
Yeah.
It's not the same. Okay. They don't all want the same thing, and they don't all need the exact same outcome, but they need the same baseline foundation. They move through the system with guardrails at the freshman and sophomore level, and then we take those guardrails away, or at least widen them out at the junior and senior level, so it's more personalized and they can do what they want to do. We have, I think we're pushing close to 2,300 students that are enrolled in a college class while in high school. Most of them with Merced College, but there are other colleges and universities involved also. And when students are able to take that college or university class while in high school, that next step becomes a whole lot easier. They're about 25% more successful because they have done that. So that's an area we really focus on. And then, of course, CTE pathways and getting that industry experience.
Yes, and connecting them to our community as well. The following question is in regard to one of our school sites. They say, "Hello, my question is, what would be your plans for next year for Merced High School?"
I don't have any plans for Merced High School. That is a question for Mr. Knott. I will tell you that we have district goals, and that will pertain to Merced High School. In fact, we talked about that Wednesday night at the board meeting. Those will be finalized at the January meeting and publicized to all the sites and stakeholders in our community.
Yes.
So if any concerns about that particular question, talk to Mr. Knott.
Okay, and then we have another question in regards to Merced High School. They say, "I have been trying to locate our alma mater online. However, apparently no one has posted our song with or without lyrics. Closest I was able to come was a recording from the band playing it from 1974. If possible, please email me a copy of Merced High School's alma mater, as I live in Missouri now and can't just stop by the school. Thank you in advance."
Okay, I don't have a copy of their alma mater in front of me this morning, but we will definitely give you the activities director's email and Principal Knott's email and make sure they get that.
Okay, and then we have a question. Well, we have some district questions now, and the first one is related to bars. Are you able to tell us the number of people that took the retirement incentive? How confident are you that MUHSD won't be in a staffing shortage with certificated and classified staff next school year?
I am very confident we will not have a shortage. We planned for this. I would say we even overhired a little bit last year planning for this. And as far as PARs go, we have 2 planned for and paid for in this district. One is this year. The next one will be in 2 or 3 years if the board agrees with that direction. And let's see, we had 78 total. 60% of them are classified positions or individuals, and 40% are certificated or teachers, administrators. And I'd say that's pretty spread out across the district. The only exception is there are 10 teachers from Golden Valley High School.
Wow.
So that will be the high school that is affected the most. The others are 1, 2, or 3. And it seems to be across subject levels also. So no, I'm not concerned about filling those positions. In fact, one of the reasons we required that they make the decision in December is so we don't have that problem. So anyone that's been paying attention to the HR postings knows that those jobs are already being posted.
Yes.
So we will slowly fill them over the course of the spring semester.
Yes. And then to follow up with another district question, we had 4 questions in regards to Prop 28. The first question was, when is the district going to start making plans for the use of Proposition 28 funds? The following question was, what are the district's plans for the Prop 28 funds? The follow-up question was, what's being done with the Prop 28 money? What happened to the Prop 28 funds?
Okay.
Yeah.
This is another answer I'm going to read because there is a lot there.
Yes.
This is the first year of implementation of Prop 28 funds. And the state has been working through the logistics of a new program. I know all of you don't have to work with the state of California, but when there is a new program or requirement that comes out, it takes time for them to announce to us how everything's going to work. The state is not planning on releasing any funds to districts until February of 24. So we have a few months to go for that. Okay. And they still have not provided any guidance on the allowable uses of the funds and how the program will be audited each year. So we're waiting for that.
Yes.
They have provided districts with an estimated allocation, and MUHSD has allowed principals to submit their plans for the 20% of the funds that are not for personnel. So 20% of the entire pot can be used on equipment and other expenses. But we do know that 80% of the Prop 28 monies are required to be used on personnel, and we don't have the guidance on exactly how to do that. I am aware that there are some districts and folks compare us to other districts and how they might be moving forward on this quickly, trusting that it's all going to work out. We don't operate that way.
Yeah. We
are a little more conservative in our approach. We want to see the guidelines first.
Yes.
So we don't make any mistakes.
Yes.
So principals already have the plans for the 20%. Those plans have been approved by the board. They were approved this fall. And once the state releases the funds and provides the guidance on allowable uses for the personnel portion of the funds, the other 80%, each principal will develop a plan for their site's use on the remaining funds that will necessitate the board approving that, but that it's a site plan, not a district plan. The district has 3 years to spend each year's allocation. 3 years. So any funds that are not spent this year will roll into each site plans for next year. All Prop 28 funds must be spent according to the state developed and board approved plans and cannot be used for other purposes or swept into the general fund at the end of the year. So very specific. And this was Prop 28, which was passed last year by the voters.
Okay. Well, those were all the questions submitted by staff, students, and community members. And before we close it out, and we are excited just to, personally for me, I've gone to many different events this week. I went to MUHSD CTE dinner. I attended Atwater and MUHSD a Christmas adventure production that they put on. I went to Golden Valley High School's 3 jazz ensembles and their choir concert, which was amazing, phenomenal. And I've been enjoying seeing all the work that has been done by students and staff to really showcase the skills learned. And today are the Winter Wish rallies. Some schools are doing it a little bit different, the rallies this year. So stay tuned for photos and just see how students have been celebrating and getting into the holiday spirit. But I have to ask you, what has been your favorite event or moment of this school year so far?
Well, I would say after today, it will be
Okay.
the winter wishes rallies.
Yeah.
Those are always outstanding, and our leadership students and site leadership do an excellent job recognizing staff that are in need
Hmm.
and taking care of that as best they can, and students that are in need. So that's always wonderful. I am really excited and appreciate just the general tone.
Okay.
If you want to call that a district culture,
Yeah.
I would be fine with that. I really think we have bounced back strong this year.
Hmm.
I think people feel that. I think students feel that.
Hmm.
Well, I know they do because I ask.
Yeah.
So just really proud and thankful for a great first semester, and I know I'm looking forward to a little Christmas break, and I know all of our staff members are too, deservedly so. So we wish everyone a very, very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and happy holidays to everyone.